How's it going everyone, Rosalind here. Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance is finally out, and courtesy of Sega, who happens to be the sponsor of today's video, huge thanks to them by the way, I have played over 50 hours of it already. SMT5 Vengeance adds quite a lot of new content. There is a whole new story path to experience, and of course there are a host of other changes and additions. But most importantly, it will be coming to platforms other than just the Nintendo Switch for the first time, meaning there are a lot of potential new players. And so today, I'm going to be going over my top tips for Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance. Just a heads up for veterans who played the original version, some of these tips will be intended for the new players, but hopefully you'll still find something useful as well. Anyways, let's begin with the first tip, which shouldn't really be a tip since the game does make this incredibly clear, but when you first choose to start a new game, you'll be given a new cutscene. As this cutscene plays out, you'll then be given a choice. Take the girl's hand or don't take the girl's hand. Choosing to take the girl's hand will activate the Canon of Vengeance, which is the new story path for SMT5 Vengeance. If you did want to play through the original story, you would instead want to choose not to take the girl's hand, activating the Canon of Creation storyline. Again, the game does make this incredibly clear, but just in case I wanted to mention it, since once you do start a playthrough, the only way to swap to their storyline is to restart from the beginning. Once you're actually in the game and exploring the world, it's generally a good idea to aggressively recruit demons in the first couple of major areas. As you get into the later portions of the game, it will become more and more efficient to just fuse new demons instead of recruiting them, but early on, especially when money is tight, recruitment is the way to go. Also, by recruiting a bunch of demons, you'll be adding them to your compendium. So when you do decide to dive into demon fusion to really increase your party strength, you'll have a lot more options than you otherwise would. Now if you have a demon you've recruited, or one that you've fused and it's gained a bunch of levels and learned some new skills, you can register it to the compendium, that way if you use it to make a new demon, you can get it back again if you want. However, the cost to withdraw a demon from the compendium will increase as their levels increase. That being said, there is a nice little feature you can make use of if the levels or skills of a demon from your compendium don't matter for a fusion. Simply hit R1 or the equivalent button on your platform on the View Compendium screen in order to withdraw the base version of a demon. Even with that tip though, money will still be in short supply early on, which brings us to one of the best and most efficient ways to make money, which is to loot every vending machine you come across. Doing so will provide you with relics that you can then sell to Gustav in the Cadaver's Hollow at any save point. These vending machines will also periodically refresh, allowing you to loot their contents again and again. And luckily you don't need to remember where they are located, as they will be marked on your map automatically. If you want to make collecting relics from vending machines more efficient, then there are a few things you can do. The first is to use Estoma. Estoma is a skill that once used will make it so that you won't get into enemy encounters until the next new moon. In SMT5 Vengeance though, it works a bit differently, as you now have access to Estoma Field. Estoma Field is a miracle that can be acquired very early on, and once learned, will give you the ability to toggle the effect of Estoma on and off again by simply hitting down on the D-pad. The one caveat though is that Estoma Field's duration is tied to your Magatsuhi gauge, as the gauge will be depleted periodically while Estoma Field is active, so you'll want to be proactively turning it on and off as needed. In addition to Estoma Field, you can also increase your vending machine looting efficiency via the use of new innate skills that all demons now possess. Think of innate skills as persona traits from Persona 5 Royal, except that they can't be passed down through fusion. They are passive skills that each demon now has and provide a myriad of effects, such as the Forager skill that both Tsuchigumo and Jack-o'-lantern possess, which reduces the amount of time it takes for vending machines to effectively respawn. Add in other early acquirable miracles such as Hand of God, which gives you a chance at extra relics, and Gathering Mastery, which gives a chance at acquiring extra items and money, and you'll be able to earn a decent amount of money with very little effort. Now of course, innate skills aren't just things for outside of battle. In fact, the vast majority are combat oriented, and they can present some interesting decisions when not only deciding on who to include in your party, but what order to put them in. For example, Neko Shogun is a demon you can get very early on that comes with the paw-to-paw combat innate skill, which will increase Neko Shogun's damage if another demon in the active party has the same innate skill. Luckily, Cait Sith is also available very early on and happens to have the same paw-to-paw combat innate skill, making the two a great duo for the early stages of the game. That's just one example, but there are many more. There are some that affect the ally that acts after a given demon, making party positioning an important factor. Others that will increase a demon's damage with a given element type based on the affinity for that element of each other party member, And then there's one of my personal favorites, which is Ippon Datara's 1-foot hop, which is a perfect innate skill for a tanking demon, as it reduces damage and increases the evasion for any ally who draws enemy hostility. All that is to say, be sure to pay attention to what your demon's innate skills do, as they could give you the edge you need in a tough encounter. Speaking of which, let's talk about some useful tips for combat. As an S&T game, it should go without saying that attacking enemy weaknesses is very important to success in battle. You not only deal extra damage, but you also generate extra actions in the form of press turns. It's because of this that you'll want to make sure you are keeping a diverse stock of demons on hand so that you can hit the weakness of any enemy you face. By actively recruiting and fusing demons, you should find yourself in a position of knowing the weaknesses of most normal enemy encounters. However, boss encounters are a bit more tricky. You could just fire off different attacks hoping to hit a weakness, but this runs the risk of not only wasting a bunch of turns, it can also prematurely end one of your turns due to attacking with an element the boss nullifies. Instead, keep a stock of spyglasses on hand. This item is extremely cheap and can be bought from Gustav as soon as you get access to his shop. Use it against an enemy and it will tell you everything about them, what their resistances are, if any status elements are effective, their stats, and even all of their skills and skill potentials. Dampeners are also incredibly useful items against bosses. These items will nullify a specific element for the next turn in battle. How you want to use them is to wait until you get the message that the boss is gathering nearby Magatsuhi. This is the indicator that the boss will use their Magatsuhi gauge and their signature attack on their next turn. Since you've ideally used a spyglass on them, you'll know what their signature attack is and can use the appropriate dampener to completely nullify the attack. In addition to hitting weaknesses and using items, buffs and debuffs are also very powerful in SMT5 Vengeance. Though buffs can be fairly inefficient until you start getting access to the ones that hit your entire party. So early on, I would prioritize debuffs, with Rakunda and Tarunda being particularly useful. Rakunda will lower the enemy's defense for 3 turns, and Tarunda will lower their attack for 3 turns. These debuffs can be stacked up to 2 times each, significantly increasing your damage output and lowering your damage taken. Finally, for combat, prioritize picking up any of the miracles that increase the rate at which your Magatsuhi gauge fills. There are a bunch of cheap ones that you get access to in just the first couple of major areas alone. Magatsuhi skills are extremely powerful, and as you get into the later stages of the game, it's possible to formulate entire party strategies around them. But even when you aren't using Magatsuhi skills, simply having the gauge full can provide benefits such as HP regeneration or the very useful Magatsuhi Spring, the main character's innate skill that will recover MP for the entire party each turn in battle while the gauge is full. Finally, let's talk about some other miscellaneous tips. Periodically, as you progress through the game, you'll get a message stating that either Aogami or one of your demons in your stock will want to talk to you. This is part of the new Demon Haunt feature. Demon Haunt is a new area that you can access via any save point, and it is basically a rest area where you can converse with your demon companions. If you talk with a demon that wants to talk with you, they will either give you an item or potentially get a boost in stats. If Aogami wants to talk to you, then after the conversation, you'll be given more free stat points to allocate to your main character. So be sure to head to the Demon Haunt whenever you get one of these messages so that you don't lose out on any goodies or stat boosts. Along the same lines of listening to your demons at the Demon Haunt, each area will give you a demon navigator that will follow you around and point out hidden items. Amanozako is the first one of these navigators you encounter, and to be completely honest, she can get a bit annoying. In the original game, I quickly started to ignore her as I was exploring. However, in SMT5 Vengeance, you will want to pay more attention when a navigator wants to point out something hidden. And this is because of the newly added Magatsu Rail system. These are a new form of transportation that will send you to either new areas on the map to find treasure, or will work as a form of quick travel, allowing you to get back to areas not near save points more quickly. Some of these rails will be present from the start, but many must be uncovered by your demon navigator first. You can tell if a point of interest will be a Magatsu rail due to the red color of the particle effects of the point of interest when your navigator points it out. And speaking of Magatsu rails, one of the many types of items you can find by taking them are a new type of Aogami essence. In the original SMT5, you could get access to Aogami Type 0 through 10 essences, which allowed the main character to learn a number of unique skills in addition to plenty of non-unique ones. Those essences are all still in the game, but now there are also Aogami Type A, B, and so on. For example, the new Aogami Type B essence comes with a unique skill in Flaming Divinity, as well as the non-unique Boon Boost and Light Mana Aid. One important thing to note about these Aogami essences is that you can use them to give skills to your demons as well, not just the main character. You of course won't be able to have demons learn any of the unique skills, but everything else is fair game. I used the aforementioned Aogami Type B essence to teach my Matador Boon Boost, so that his Taunt and Red Capote skills would last an additional turn, making him a very effective dodge tank. Now you may be worried about using your Aogami essences, especially on someone other than your main character, but don't be. Just like with vending machines, the Aogami husks that drop his essences respawn and are marked on your map so that you can easily go back and get more copies. And speaking of essences, there actually is a way to get almost any essence, so long as you have the demon and they can level up, and you're willing to be patient with a bit of save scumming. What you want to do is make a save right before the demon will level up and learn their last skill. After that save is made, level them up either through battle or via using a grimoire, and they'll either give you an item, their essence, or nothing. If they don't give you their essence, reload and try again. They actually have a chance to give you their essence at any level up, but you do it this way because that chance is increased whenever they learn their final skill. And that'll do it for this video on my top tips for Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance. If you found this video helpful and informative, please be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you have any questions about Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance, or any other game that I cover, feel free to hit me up over on Twitch at twitch.tv/RoslinGaming, or on my Discord server, both of which are linked in the video description below. Until next time, take care.